We've got quite a lot of reporting in the papers here about Team Trump wanting to exact revenge on Starmer for meddling in the US election, question marks over whether Lord Mandelson will still be able to be the UK ambassador to the US. Will it be blocked by Trump? And then we have this morning Sadiq Khan warning about the march of fascism as Trump takes power again, suggesting that there is going to be resurgent fascism, not only as a result of Trump re-entering the White House, but also because of the rise of people like Italy's Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni. Is this helpful rhetoric?
No, of course it's not. And I think Sadiq Khan's comments are absolutely unacceptable. There is so much that's unacceptable about Sadiq Khan's views and comments, but you won't be surprised by what I think about that. Look, the reality is President Trump is going to be inaugurated tomorrow in that building behind me. He has won a huge mandate. The American people have put their hopes and trust and confidence in him to deliver for the people of America, for this great country, but also importantly for us, and I say this as a Conservative, I've been invited here by our sister party, the Republican Party. We have strong and enduring ties and links with our sister party. We've always stood shoulder to shoulder as two countries, and that's where we should be again. The challenge and the onus now is on Sir Keir Starmer, his Labour government. Perhaps his mayor should, really now just keep his views to himself, because Trump has a mandate and a big majority, and we should respect that. And I would also say the same about Khan's comments about Giorgia Meloni. She has a mandate and a majority to run her country. It's not for him to give a running commentary. It really isn't. The onus now is on Keir Starmer's government to step up and rebuild links and relationships with the Trump administration, with the new coming administration. It is not surprising that I think the newspapers are speculating about what that relationship is going to be. It's inevitable, primarily because Labour do not have a good, strong, solid track record, unlike the Conservative Party when it comes to working with the Trump government. I was in the last Conservative government where I worked with the first Trump government on major issues such as national security, homeland security, home affairs. And so we have a solid track record, both in government and out of government with our sister
Priti
party.
Patel, is it true to say, and I know you have got good relationships with Republicans, but isn't it true to say that actually the person with the best relationship with Donald Trump right now, who could be the conduit between the UK and the US, is actually your rival in reform, Nigel Farage?
Well, look, I don't agree with that whatsoever, because, as I've said, both in government and out of government, our ties are enduring. And, we work with the Republican Party and we support each other. Our relationship is based on long-standing values, values about freedom, democracy, and what we have achieved historically together. You can't airbrush that out. And we know Labour like to airbrush history and rewrite history. But specifically, you've asked me about reform. There's a massive difference. Our ties are enduring. We're not a pop-up in the way in which reform are. And of course, there's a lot of interest. There's a lot of interest in the relationship. Politics is built upon relationships and trust, but also mutual respect. And that's something that is really deep. It's entrenched in my party in terms of that relationship we have with our sister party, the Republican Party.
Can I ask you just one domestic question before you go, Priti Patel? I was just looking back at some of the work that you tried to do on the grooming gang child rape scandal in this country. And there's a report from 2020 where it suggests that you felt you were being given the runaround, and I quote, by officials at the Home Office when it came to trying to produce a probe into the ethnicity of some of the perpetrators of these appalling crimes. When you were at the Home Office, did you find that civil servants blocked your inquiries into this?
Well, first of all, Camilla, thank you for raising this, because it's a really, really important issue, and it spans a very significant period of time now. You've asked me about my time at the Home Office on this. I set up something called the External Reference Group that looked into the characteristics of the perpetrators of these awful, abhorrent rape grooming gangs. And on that basis, I brought in a range of people, including a fellow colleague from the Labour Party, Sarah Champion. We worked with one of the victims and survivors, Sammy Woodhouse, and we brought her on as well, because I felt it was so important to have the voices and the insights and, dare I say it, the experiences of those that knew so much about this, but also who knew so much about the perpetrators, the communities, the groups of people, and the characteristics of those that were involved. It was difficult. I'll be very honest about that. I personally felt institutionally there were there was a degree of denial. There was a culture of denial and institutionally, and by that I mean the institutions of the state, a government department, just did not want to tackle head on some of these issues around specific communities that were responsible for these absolutely abhorrent crimes against young girls in some of the communities and parts of the country that we're learning more about now.